Okay, so I guess the definition of anxiety dream would be that I didn't have an opportunity to present for any of the table discussions. So Charlie voluntold me that I would present a summary of all of the table discussions for the day. No, but in all seriousness, what we're going to do over the next little while is in a very active way, which I think will be fun and exciting and challenging, probably, is try to synthesize what has been, and Charlie, check my numbers, 20 tables, 3 discussion sessions, all into something that is quantifiable and both quantitative and qualitative data. So I'm going to sort of navigate you through this. You are all well educated, and there will be props that we're going to use in pursuit of this. So I think it'll be fun. So the first thing I did is I did a little research, and when it comes to trying to synthesize this kind of work during the day in a lossless fashion that doesn't lose the diversity and the individuality of each of your own contributions, while letting them soak together in sort of a soup for something bigger and broader. There's actually research around that. It's called group level assessment. So some of the things that I'm going to do, even though they may seem farcical, when we do them, are actually based on research. So one of the first things that we're going to do is we're going to talk about epiphanies and things that we missed in today's meeting. And I wanted to look up epiphany to make sure that I could, if you're not familiar with the word. So I looked it up, and it says the manifestation of Christ to the Gentiles. So I found another definition, and it is the moment of awareness after which events are seen through the prism of this new light in the story. So what we're going to do first, and of course I left my phone on the table. Does anybody else will somebody be a timer for me? Oh yeah, you have the sign that says stop. Okay, so what we're going to do for, essentially I'm going to give you a number of timed exercises. And first thing I want you to do is I want you to find on your tables, in the center of tables, there are 2 different 3x5 cards. Couldn't have gone with a bigger card, Charlie, could you? Okay, 2 3x5 cards. One card, so let me know, look back up here when you have the cards. One card says Epiphany and Mist, and the other card has more text on it, okay? So you should each have one of each card. Okay, so let me walk you through this. On the Epiphany and Mist card, front and back, okay? Are you saying that no, there are 2 cards. 2 cards. So, okay, one card has labels that say on the left side Epiphany, on the right side Mist, and if you flip it over, it said Partners Epiphanies, Partners Mist. Does everybody have this? Yeah? Okay. So we're going to work with this card first. So the other card, put it down, but don't lose it. Okay? And I'm going to explain this. We're going to get there, okay? You got to trust me. Barely know me, but you got to trust me, okay? So we're going to start with 3 minutes on the clock. And what I want you to do on this card is I want you to take 3 minutes by yourself, just quiet time. There are pens on the table. And I want you to write down on the left side of the card, if you had an epiphany today, this moment of enlightenment, something new, I want you to write that down on the left side of the card. And you can write down several of them. And on the right side of the card, I want you to write down things that we missed, things that you might have expected us to talk about or discuss, or things that now you've had this discussion that we didn't talk about. Epiphanies and missed. And here's the most important part. Time is short, so be very succinct. I want you to give like a 1-word, 2-word, at the most 3 words for each of these epiphanies or missed. Okay? So go ahead and do that. 3 minutes. Okay. All right. Is anybody lost yet? No. Okay, good. Okay, so now we're going to do peer reflection. Here's how it's going to work. You're seated at a table with several other people. Hopefully you know them from the last exercise, but if you don't, when I tell you, you're going to introduce yourselves, make sure you know who you're talking to. Okay, and we're going to do 3 2-minute cycles. It's going to be fast and furious. 3 2-minute cycles. In the first 2 minutes, you're going to turn to one partner, and quickly you're going to share your epiphanies and mist, and they're going to share their epiphanies and mist. Okay, can I have the next slide? Okay, and here's what we're going to do. You're going to put a check mark next to your epiphanies or mist each time you see in your partner something that they also had on their list, which is the same as yours. So you're going to share your reflections with each other. If your reflections are the same, you're going to put a check mark next to it. If it's different, if your partner is sharing an epiphany or mist that's different, you're going to write it quickly on the back of the card where it says partner's epiphany or mist. Okay? And then at the end of 2 minutes, I'm going to tell you to go to a new partner. And then another 2 minutes, you're going to go to a new partner. And I don't think anybody's going to want to be with me after this exercise, but it'll be fun, okay? So everybody, any questions? Okay, here we go. 2 minutes, first partner. Next partner. it's the end of 2 minutes. So we're on the, go ahead, Charlie, find your special place. All right, so now you got to switch partners again. So if you're at a table with 4 or less people, you need to go to a different table. So you got to get up and go to a different table, find another partner. Last 2 minutes. Okay, it's time to wrap it up. Ask your last questions. Okay. Eyes back up here when you're ready. Okay, so a few questions first. Okay, a few questions first. Just from a raise of hands. When you talk to the partners, now that you've done 3 rotations, how many of you had 0 checks? No check marks. No check marks. Okay, interesting. So keep them up for a second. Keep them up. Wow, there's something about that table over there. Okay, but that's interesting, right? Because what do no check marks mean? A diversity of opinion, right? Perspectives? Okay, so now let's go the other way. How many people you can put your hands down. Okay, how many people had 1 check mark? Okay, keep your hands up. How many had 2 check marks? That would include the 1 people also. Okay, how many people had 3 check marks? Okay, how many people had 4 or more check marks? Okay, so that's kind of a proof of concept, right? We've reflected on your cards some diversity of perspective as well as some consensus, limited consensus. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to try to share that with everybody. So what I would like you to do, you can start maybe with the things that were most sort of resonant in your conversations with your peers. But I want you to share via Poll Everywhere. So you either do that by texting to that open text 22333, or by going to the website pollev.com/cwellbeing606. And this is important. If you put in 1 word, that's great. But if you put in more than 1 word, you have to put a hyphen in between the words, or else they'll come up as separate words. So I want you to go ahead and put that in, and put in your epiphany. So your most resonant epiphanies, or the things that you heard the most, or that had the most check marks. It's complicated. So let's see what comes up here. The bigger that the word is going to be, the more common Definition. Time, teams, humility is so the larger the word in the word cloud, the more people who are mentioning it. Okay. Terrific. So is there anyone who'd like to just share verbally kind of what you've taken away from this little discussion with regard to Epiphanies? Anybody want to share from the audience? Microphones are on. Thanks.
I'll share one of mine and one of my team members. So mine was that clinicians really undervalue the amount that patients can help as team members, both as helping them with the empathy piece as well as patients being self-activated and being able to help in their clinical care, prevention, etc. And then the other one is that we really need to change the model of care, and that AI could be the disruptor that gets us to where we can totally turn it upside down and get rid of the cost part of the equation for a while to really focus on it.
Thank you. Anyone else? So do you see in these responses, they're still sort of animating up there. Do you see some of the themes that you talked about in your partners? Leadership, humility, culture, identity formation, power of storytelling. Anyone else want to share their perspectives? Oh, okay. We'll get there in a sec.
I don't deal well with silence. I'm just kidding. One of the things I wanted to share is that I love the members of the collaborative, but I've been looking at your mugs for 3 years now, and today it was really nice to see new people in the room that are just as engaged, if not more fired up about this. And so my epiphany was, wow, a lot of people really care about this. And I think it's easy to start to feel disillusioned and are we getting anywhere? Are we just spinning our wheels? But I really do believe we are getting somewhere. And I believe that the messaging that we've done so far and the work that we're going to continue to do is making a difference. So that's my epiphany, is like, this is working. It's slow, but I think we're doing a good job. And we need to continue to focus our efforts going forward, which I know our working dinner is about. So
thank you. Terrific. Jay.
Yeah, Steve, to me, going along with our appreciative inquiry sort of mindset and bent, I really liked what Dr. Paulus said, that it's not just about eliminating hassles and barriers, it's about scaling joys. And in the same way that we have our performance indicators, I saw performance indicators up there, we need to develop performance indicators for scaling joys. And that was kind of an aha for me. How can we do that? That's an area that would be really exciting to focus on.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Oh, please.
I hope I didn't miss anything, but I just wanted to say that I was really overwhelmed to look around the room and see how many people cared. When I started in 88, I hardly found one. So this is really impressive. And I want to thank everybody for their efforts, and Shirley and Dr. Zhao and everybody else. It's really heartwarming. The one thing I would like to comment on is I think it would have been beneficial to hear about interventions, maybe interventions that are done by other schools that we could share, because I think it would have benefited the residents back home. So that's my little comment.
Great. Thank you. Okay, so let's take that as a segue. So now what we're going to do is we're going to do the poll everywhere with the things that we missed. So these are the notes that you wrote down, or things that had check marks from you and your partners about things that we missed at the meeting that we should look to, or that we should. So sharing best practices. Go ahead and enter those into either your cell phone or the website. So it's interesting to see that there are some themes that are coming out sort of in alignment with those last comments, looking for specific strategies and interventions, moving to action. Payers, I'm not sure exactly maybe what that's meant to say, but perhaps audiences or other stakeholders that we could involve. So as this is developing, would anyone like to share? You had something you wanted to share about something missed?
My name is Ewuma Agbaudu. I am a recovering college student, just graduated last year and applying to medical school. I felt like we focused a lot on the residents, likely and rightly so, but I felt like we could be even more proactive in thinking about what we can do with undergraduate students and even mentorship down that level. I was also thinking about something that I listened to on NPR a couple months ago called Goodhart's Law of Economics, saying that the more we focus on measuring one thing, the more we neglect other things in measuring. So if we measure efficiency, clinician well-being suffers. So by measuring clinician well-being, is there anything that we're neglecting? And then also, I would have liked to hear a little bit more about possible like burnout stratification by race and how that affects different minority groups and what coping mechanisms are in place for those groups dealing with burnout.
Thank you. Great points. Anyone else like to share? Missed opportunities?
It was kind of a epiphany a little bit later as we were just sitting here is sustainability, I think, is where I didn't hear a lot of discussion about. It goes along with interventions as we move forward, but I think the challenge is also how do we sustain it over time?
Okay. Charlie?
Hi, yes, Charlie Alexander. I wanted to put in a plug for our case study series, which we are in the process of developing and will release in a couple of months' time. So we have a couple of case studies in the pipeline, and for all of the case studies that we develop, we're going to be hosting a webinar series around the case studies and what each institution implemented so folks could have a bit more tangible connection with what we're putting forward. So point well taken on the interventions and strategies, and those are coming from the collaborative, and I know that many of us in the room also have strategies and interventions, and I hope that we can share them moving forward. So thank you.
Thanks, Charlie. Anyone else, something missed or something, don't want to miss saying something that was missed?
I'm similar. I just didn't like the silence. We are, I think, natively as people within the medical community and provider community, we're driven towards research and numbers. And I think when I read this, I see interventions. And I immediately think people are looking for magic pills. Maybe not magic pills, but pills, proverbially pills. And we do that. I like the strategies idea better, but I think more importantly, it really is going to be a culture shift and rising the rising tide to lift all boats, right? We all have to lean into this a little bit better. My big epiphany today was that we all really have to start to shoulder in a little bit. What can I do? What can I do tomorrow? So thank you for asking us to really think about that. But I have, for a really long time, thought to myself, oh, the leaders aren't doing it, and this person's not doing it, and this, but it's just going to take all of us putting a little bit of elbow grease into it and starting somewhere. And that's not something that I think people in medicine want to do, because we are so driven towards looking at research and looking at numbers. And when I talk to my colleagues across the country, they're like, well, what do the data show? What does the literature show? And I think we have to find another way to work around that. One of the missed opportunities on here, I think, would be looking at other industries and what other industries that have like very high performing, very stressed professionals are trying to do. And maybe we can learn from their strategies, because they don't approach their problems the way we approach problems. And so maybe that's an opportunity to learn what we could do next.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Berger. I'm an advanced practice board certified chaplain and a graduate of the narrative medicine program at Columbia University. I'm following on to the idea that we can use more strategy. I'm a firm believer in the ability of narrative medicine to deliver spiritual care to healthcare providers. And I'm looking forward to seeing more initiatives along that line. I lost my train of thought. I'll come back.
Okay.
I'm Daisy Smith from the American College of Physicians, and one of the things that I thought was missed was the talking about the power of patient faculty, really, to enhance the clinical learning environment and reconnect faculty and learners with the purpose in their work. And I know there are a number of medical schools that have actually patient faculty, and we've started to have patient faculty at our ACP meetings, and I think it really is quite transformative. So I just wanted to say, I think this concept of patient faculty might be a strategy worth considering.
Great.
And I've remembered my train of thought, and that is...
Well, you know, the L comes every 5 minutes.
Actually, I did it inadvertently. This was such a productive meeting, and I think it mirrored the energy of what we experience in medicine.
Sure.
I just want to take a moment to remind everyone and myself that stillness is valuable, and that empty space is not an awkward accident of insufficient planning, and that it's valuable to do that even in teams.
Thanks. Last comment.
Okay, so I think the epiphany that I thought was we need to really involve or use occupational medicine and engineering systems techniques to try to solve these problems, because those are the skill and expertise domains that we're not using that could help. And I think a miss was we need a collective research needs assessment to be done so that we can get a strategy for lobbying for research dollars, and then maybe have a goal of developing registries and metrics tied to compensation or dollars back to the system. So there's a reward situation in place, and the institutions will have skin in the game for this, because most of the doctors we're talking about and providers are in employed settings. So.
Terrific. Okay. So we're not done. There's more, but wait, there's more. So the next thing I want you to do, assumedly you have a cell phone. If you don't have a cell phone, borrow someone's cell phone. I want you to take a picture of the front and back of your cards. And the reason why is that you're going to take your pictures with you, but we want you to leave the cards because we're going to utilize them and sort of collect data from them. You don't have to put your name on the card unless you really want to. So do that while I'm talking. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab this other card, the card that has two questions on it. One question is, which threads discussed today should the Clinician Wellbeing Collaborative incorporate into the work to improve well-being? And what can the Clinician Wellbeing Collaborative do to stimulate national change? So these are forward-looking, a way for you to share with us some direction and guidance for the future. You don't have to answer both of those questions, but maybe pick one of those questions and write down your answer on the card, and they're going to leave those cards here. Okay, and you're going to leave those cards behind on the tables. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that. answer to that card, that question on the second card. You can take a picture of that as well. Send it to your grandchildren. Okay, and then the very last task of this discussion is I would like for you to find the postcards on your table. So there are postcards with pictures on them. Okay, and distribute them around the table. And I want you to write to yourself a commitment to change. And what is one change I can make in 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months? And what is one change I think my organization can make? So again, those two questions are, and they're up on the screen as well. What is one change I can make in 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months? And what is one change I believe my organization can make? As you finish up the postcard, you're gonna take home with you. See how you do. Okay, thank you for engaging in this exercise. I appreciate all the comments and your hard work. And it's my pleasure to bring, oh, he disappeared. Where'd he go? There he is. So I'm gonna bring back up ACGME's Tim Brigham to give some final comments. Thank you.